Yeah, I took a blender.
Yeah.
And I took the great traits.
It's like you had a filter.
And I took New World Order, threw it in there, and a lot of love, threw it in there, and I blended smooth, you know. That's the way I raise my kids.
I can tell.
That is why my kids, they could come to me and talk to me about anything. I didn't like that.
Retake. You know, you have to have the conversation because it's natural. And it's
natural. They're human beings.
Exactly, and it's bound to happen. So why not, you know, have the talk with them?
It's like giving them the tools to develop. Basically, that's our responsibility.
Yeah.
We were entrusted with our kids for a reason. You know, it's like giving them almost like a manual.
Yeah.
To navigate puberty, to navigate becoming a man, becoming a woman, and some standards that you can hold yourself. You know?
And I think that allows your child to trust you.
Family, and welcome back to our platform. This is Elevated Lifestyle TV, where we inspire you to live empowered. I'm Lady Eloise.
I'm Lady Anwar.
And today our point of discussion is, wait for it, teenagers and dating.
Ooh.
I know as parents, it's a headache. We don't want to think about it. We don't want to deal with it. But it's inevitable. We have a few pointers for you. And feel free, talk back and forth. You know, this is reciprocal. We're not just here to talk to you. We want you to talk to us. So
Dialogue,
exactly. So talk to us in the comments. If we forget any pointers, feel free to mention your own. And just tell us how you feel about teenagers and dating. Answer the questions as well. Tell us what you think is a suitable age. You know, tell us the things that you think we should talk to our teens about, etc., etc. So let's just jump into it. Lady Anwar.
Lady Eloise.
It is no secret that those innocent days of dating, I feel that they're over. You know, with the advent of technology, just the way youths are socializing these days. The highly sexualized television programs. I mean, you name it. You know, you remember those innocent days when you threw the rock and, you know, your boyfriend just want to see your face before he goes to bed.
Exactly.
I mean, do we still have those innocent days?
I think those days are long gone. You know, like you said, social media is taking a big role in our kids' upbringing. You know, so that's why we as parents, we have to establish that those boundaries, you know, and those guidelines, and build that trust with your child. So, you know, so they won't just fall for anything.
I feel like if we're not careful, and if we don't put our foot down with how we parent our kids, you know, the values that we instill in our kids, their innocence will be long erased, you know, and I'm really fighting to hold a handle on that.
Yeah.
But we have 6 pointers to help you to talk about dating with your teenager. Just follow along with us, and again, just give us your feedback. So point number 1. But first of all, what do you think is a suitable age for teenagers to start dating?
Oh, that's a good question. I think it varies.
Of course, I only asked that question.
I think it varies. I think that I don't really want to put an age on it. I think that it just depends on when that child knows who they are.
I like that. Because I like that because, for instance, I like the way you put it. And part of that is maturity.
Absolutely.
Because a child could be 15. Like when I was 15, I was more mature than somebody 20, somebody 25.
Absolutely.
You know, so I like that. But expand some more.
So I think that they need to find who they are first, because if they don't, they will just run to anybody, or they'll be willing to date just anybody just because they want to feel complete. So once they make their self complete, you know, once they do that self-work, that self-love on their self, and not expect for someone else to complete them,
Right.
then I think it's an appropriate time to date. Now, does that mean that they might have to wait till they're 25 to break their virginity? Why not? Who's to say that we have to be a teenager when we break our virginity? Who's to say that we have to rush into sex and dating?
It's a societal conditioning.
Yes, I just,
You know?
I wish I would have waited.
Me too.
I mean,
did you wish that you had waited? I wish I had waited.
Everything is that's good is worth waiting for.
Yeah, that is true.
Come on.
But I'm glad that you mentioned, knowing oneself.
Absolutely.
And I remember the other day, my children and their cousins. I have 3 girls, by the way, and Lady Anwar, she has 3 sons. So I feel like this is a balanced conversation, because usually when we talk about dating and teenagers, a lot of time we focus in on the girls.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want my daughter to get pregnant. Oh, I don't want my daughter to this. I don't want my daughter to that. But what about our sons? What about our sons? What about our men? I think we need to have a separate conversation on that.
Mm-hmm.
But the movie was called Kissing Booth.
Okay. I've never seen that movie.
Yeah, it's a teenage movie, and that's the thing about it. Growing up, we looked at our programming was a lot more innocent than now. Growing up, we watched stuff like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, The Huxtables,
Family Matters.
Family Matters. How dare we talk about kissing?
Exactly.
Like, we're not ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was saying, so the actress, the star, she was torn between her boyfriend, a new crush that had just joined the school, and her best friend, who is her boyfriend's brother. Okay? And
so she had a boy best friend.
She had a male best friend, yes.
Ooh, okay.
And the best friend happened to be her boyfriend's brother.
Okay.
So now, her best friend, as usual, if I had to choose between going to university with my best friend or my boyfriend, I would choose my best friend.
Yeah.
To be honest, and in hindsight, I can look back now and say I would choose my best friend. But when I went to college, I was already mature. I came by myself, and that was a wonderful experience. But her boyfriend is pressuring her to go to university with him. Meet me at this university. Whereas her best friend is like, hey, since we were little, this is the university we said we were going to. And then the crush, he wants her to go somewhere else with him. But eventually she ruled out the crush. Hey, I love my boyfriend. So now she's like torn between her boyfriend and her best friend. But I remember I was in the kitchen. I wasn't really paying attention, but those bits filtered through. And I really had to use it as a teaching moment for my daughters and their cousins, because I had a house full of little girls, right? And I had to tell them, I'm like, hey, do you guys see what's happening here? I keep hammering into my daughter's head. Do not rush to get married. Marriage is a beautiful thing. I think it is. But don't rush to get married. Like you said, know who you are first. Do all those things that you said you would do first, and eventually, hey, when you're on that trip to Africa to dig wells for underserved populations, you just might meet that guy of your dream that is compatible with you. Because the next good thing with being fully complete is to also find someone who's compatible with you.
Yes. And you know what? You know how people say opposites attract?
Yeah.
I don't believe that.
But even if somebody is compatible with you, of course they would still have some stuff that
some different. Exactly. But
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you said, though, once you're out there, you explore, and someone that kind of has that same passion or that same goal as you, you're more, compatible.
Yeah.
And so, but when you're younger, you're just trying to fill a void. Mm-hmm. Maybe your mom made you mad, or maybe your dad is getting on your nerves, or maybe someone didn't tell you you was pretty enough. So the first guy that come along say, hey, you're beautiful, you jump in a bed with them. Yeah. Or you want him to be your boyfriend. And so this is someone that's not going to even grow with you. So now you feel obligated to stay with this person because they fill the void that when you were going through an insecurity stage in your life.
That's in one of my pointers, like delaying that self-gratification.
Yes.
Wait. Don't just settle. Just wait.
Just wait.
Give yourself some time.
Yeah.
Like the way the world is going now, I don't feel like there's a need to rush to do anything. Mm-hmm. If you have some goals, yes, pursue your goals, and the right man would fall. Now there's a lot of women who are opting to stay single. Mm-hmm. Now you would see that now. Now women, they have gone so far away from the kitchen barefoot and pregnant.
Oh, absolutely.
Women are so empowered now You know, they want their career, they want to back 7-8 figures. You know, that's what's happening now. Only in very conservative societies, women, they don't necessarily think like that. But I mean, I think you know that drip theory, it's happening. Women now, you know, once ago you would hear, oh, when I grow up, I want to get married to my Prince Charming and have 5 kids. You wouldn't hear a girl saying that now. You would hear girls saying, oh, when I grow up, I want to be the president. When I grow up, I want to be an engineer, an astronaut. You're no longer hearing girls saying, when I grow up, I want to be married with 5 kids.
With the White House and picket fence.
You don't really hear that anymore. You know, but that brings us to our first point though. Point number 1, acknowledge that this teenager and dating stage is inevitable. There is nothing we can do about it. What say you, Lady Anwar?
You want to be open and honest with your kids to where, you know, they can't tell you if they are dating, so they don't have to sneak out and be rebellious. You know, but like you said, it's bound to happen whether you want them to or you don't want them to. That's why it's our job as parents to install great qualities in your kids and set a great example. You know, we can't just be walking around dating everybody, you know, Joe Blow and whoever. Did we expect for our girls, our girls or our sons to be outstanding individuals? It just doesn't work like that. So we are the example.
I've always said, even when I had my wild streaks, I've always set examples for my girls. So I said that to say sometimes we have to be a little bit more transparent with our kids and tell them, hey, I've been through this already. That is why I'm concerned about you. That is why I'm having this conversation with you.
You're well
so that you have so that they have some tools to work with. But yeah, even when I had my wild streak, there was still, a side. My kids think that I'm perfect.
Of course.
And that's because I shielded them from certain things, And parents, we're not perfect the least. But that is why it's okay to give them a little bit of insight. Not tell them everything, but give them a little bit of insight. Hey, the reason why I'm talking to you about dating in this regard is because I've been there. This is what's going to happen. This is what society may expect of you. This is what your friends may pressure you to do. But I want you to be your own person. I want you to have values and standards, and I want you to make your own choices.
Yeah, you're basically installing that leadership skills in them, so they don't just fall for anything. That, like you said, peer pressure, and just because she's doing it, I have to do it. Right. Just because he said this, I have to do this now. Because when I was growing up, the guys, they would see who can get the most numbers. We'd go to the mall and go date the guys and the girls. We wanted to see who was gonna get the most numbers, who can get the most attention from the opposite sex. Well, speaking of opposite sex, nowadays dating the same sex
it's the norm now.
It's normal now.
Yeah.
So that's something else. Like
that's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother conversation. Like, how do you tell your child? Okay, it's okay. You can date the same sex. I guess you just create that trust. You build that trust with your child so they can be open.
Well, that brings us to point number 2. Right. So point number 2, have an open line of communication with your kids. And this open line, it nurtures trust.
So how open, sis?
Open where it's reciprocal. Open where you don't judge your child. Okay. You wanna approach your child, as objective as possible, because you want your kid to talk to you. All right, that tone of that judgmental tone, we have to put it aside. That need to have total, complete control, we have to put that aside.
So instead of talking at them, you talk to them.
Yeah, you don't talk condescendingly to your kid, because we have to. So I'm from the Caribbean. I'm from a very conservative society where that is the norm. You talk down to your child. I don't.
I'm the adult. You're the kid.
Right.
Listen.
Right. And you know what that did to us? when parents come to you that way, you start sneaking around.
You do.
You start lying. You put up a resistance. You know. So in my community, you date when you're probably 20, 21. Before that, you don't dare. You don't dare talk too long to a boy, because the entire village knows you. They already know who you spoke to. They know how long you spoke to them. Then if you were giggling and you know
twirling your hair.
So they already gave your mother a report, eh? And you know you're gonna get like beat down for that. Because again, we're from a Christian society, is very conservative. You don't talk to boys. You go to school, you come straight home.
So whoopings, you were brought up with whoopings.
Yeah.
Discipline. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know nowadays you can't whoop your kids.
Yeah, nowadays you can't whoop your kids.
Oh my goodness.
Things have changed so much.
Oh yeah.
But to be honest though, it's not something that I practice. There's so many other ways that you can discipline a kid.
I agree.
You know, and I would have, you know, when I first came to America, I came to America to pursue my studies, and on campus I would, you know, people from the same island, you know, they would ask if you know, do you think you're a white woman? Because I don't hit my kids.
Wow.
You know,
I think it's beautiful that you took the great things that you learned.
I did
from your family, and you installed that in your kids. Oh my goodness, her kids are well mannered, well behaved. I love her kids.
Too.
Like that's why I think we get along so well. Like when I met her, she got 3 girls, I got 3 boys, and they're all well mannered and behaved. Like I love it. But back to what I was saying, like I think that's great that you took the great things.
Yeah, I took a blender.
Yeah.
And I took the great traits.
It's like you had a filter.
And I took New World Order, threw it in there, and a lot of love, threw it in there, and I blended smooth, you know. That's the way I raise my kids.
I can tell.
That is why my kids, they could come to me and talk to me about anything. Because I remember how I grew up. The way I grew up, you should be seeing now. The way I grew up, I was considered too fast.
Yeah.
Not in the sense of too fast with men, because I don't dare, but I've always had an inquisitive mind, and I've always asked all these questions, and they you know, like, well, why do you want to know that? Go and sit down before I.
So you was this when you were younger?
Yeah, I've always been.
I can imagine.
I've always been very mature for my age, and in a sense, you know, that's commendable on my parents, because they and my grandparents and my aunt. I grew up with a lot of love. I grew up in a household that, you know, they pushed education. Everything was education. You know, I had to learn to read. I had to keep my grades upper level. You know,
I love that.
I was well read. You know, well educated, well rounded. So then, if you have a kid that is so educated, of course the kid is gonna ask questions.
See, I didn't have high expectations on me. Like my family, you know, as long as you graduated from high school, like that was good enough. Like there was no high expectation of education or anything. And I watched women, the women that I seen, most of them were single, you know, that raised me, but they also depended on men. I was seeing I had a lot of mixed signals growing up. Like, what should I do? Should I work hard for myself and create my own wealth, or should I use somebody else for their money? Or, you know, like, should I just get cute so I can attract a guy to take care of me? So
and all these are conversations that we need to have with our kids. You know, so again, point number 2, have that open line of communication, and with that open line of communication, so you could, you know, tell your sons. Well, Aisha has 3 sons, 3 wonderful, well-raised, well-bred, you know, handsome young men. Just give them that little ounce of, oh, hey, this is how things were with me, and this is why I'm raising you this way, because I want you to make your own decisions. I want you to have a better life than I had. I don't want you to, you know, should you decide to get married or, you know, find a partner, I want you to, you know, just connect with the right one, basically.
I love how you put that.
So when we think about having that open line of communication, I'm talking about setting some ground rules early. Hey, if you're gonna date, this is what's this, and you guys have to set them together so that they feel a part of. You have to create that buy-in, right? Don't just, hey, come here, sit down.
Authority figure. Yeah, just straight up authority figure.
Sit down and have a conversation. again, don't speak down to your child. Don't be judgmental, and just let go of that need for control.
Yeah.
You know, hey son, let's have a conversation. I know you're starting to date now. Da 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 da. You know, this is what I expect of you as the young man that I've raised. And y'all just have a conversation. Set some ground rules. This is the curfew. These are my, insight on how you drive, who you drive with, etc.
Yeah.
And just having that conversation. And that's how I speak to my kids.
You have to have order. You can't just expect for your kids to automatically know things, because if you don't set boundaries, they're gonna do whatever. You know, if you don't set a curfew, they're gonna come back at whatever time. Like, they don't know how to raise themselves. They need our guidance.
And you've always said that about you growing up. You wish you had that
structure.
Yeah,
guidance, discipline.
And maybe that's why you're the mother that you are, because you're trying to, give your boys what you didn't have.
I kind of like what you said when you said you took, it's like a blender. I took all the great qualities that I had, growing up, because I had to be respectful. I had to say yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. I had to wash my hands before I went in the refrigerator. I had to be a certain kind of way. But then again, I had a lot of freedom. I didn't have structure. I didn't have certain boundaries. So it's like I just took all the great things that I had, and then I take like my philosophy on how I should raise my kids, and I'm blending it together, and I'm actually seeing some great results.
Point 3, regular check-in with your teenagers. Hey son, I know you've been dating Jill down the road, because by this time you've given your son permission to date, or your daughter permission to date, and you have to check in with them. It's not a set it and forget it sort of situation. It's an ongoing process, and it's also a time where you can use to, bond even closer with your kid. Oh my goodness, mom cares about me. She's asking me about, I don't want to say relationship, but she's asking me how things are going. What is your take on that?
I don't allow my son to date. It's not, and I say that because I hear him. My son, he does music, so he has a female that does the beats. She does the beats, so they have like this great bond. And I'm kind of reluctant, like if I come in his room and see him on the phone with her, I'm reluctant to build a relationship with her. Like, I don't want to be that mom. Hey girl, how you doing? What you and my son? Like, I just don't want that. Like, I don't want her to even think that I'm that cool parent.
You want to have that respect factor.
I want to have that respect out there. But then again, I feel like maybe I should acknowledge her sometime, because it's been years. He's not ready today. He's not ready for a girlfriend, because I just don't want him to feel like someone else has to complete him and make him feel whole.
And I respect that. So let me ask some follow-up questions. So I know he's 17. He's very respectful. These days, teenagers are pressured to, live wild. See how many notches you could get in your belt, etc. Have you had that conversation with him?
I haven't had that sex talk conversation like I should. But I do have the conversation with him as far as, baby, just hold off and wait. I make it like a fairy tale to him. I tell him to hold off, build yourself, so you can be able to create that fantasy woman that you're desiring. Because right now you don't even know yourself. Right now, if you was to get in a relationship with someone, you don't know how to make her feel good. You're not gonna know what to say or what to do if she's under stress or she's emotional or whatever other females go through. So, then she's gonna break up with you, then you're gonna feel obligated to get another girlfriend, and then it's gonna be like an ongoing cycle of you needed to have someone else, you needed to have a girlfriend. So it's like, I don't even want you to start to feel like a girlfriend is mandatory. Now, can he have female friends? Can he talk to females? Yes, he got female friends, but as far as just them dating and being madly in love with each other, I just don't feel like that's necessary. So I convinced him to work on himself first completely, so he can be that strong man, and when he noticed that he can create that woman, so when she do come along, he's able to be so he's comfortable enough with himself to be able to give her compliments or let her feel like the queen, or the woman that she is. Because if you're not comfortable with yourself, you don't feel like complimenting nobody, or you feel like you don't even know how to talk or treat a woman. But if you can just envision that woman of your dreams and you can hold off, because anything that's worth having is worth waiting on.
Yes.
So if you can envision that woman of your dreams and hold off on her, and you know that that's the woman that God has picked for you, or that's the woman that you created, I think it's all the more better.
And you have to know who your children friends are. And the reason why I'm asking is he's 17 and he's not dating. Usually that's a lot of pressure.
It is.
Usually people ostracise you, they make fun of you, because peer pressure is a serious thing.
You still a virgin, or are you gay?
Let's talk about that.
It's not
like,
manly.
are you gay?
It's not manly.
I know that at some point his friends would jeer at him. Have you prepared him for that?
Like, I'm trying to give him hope.
That's the narrative that you're pushing.
Yeah, it's like that's the narrative. Like, I'm just giving him hope. Like, it doesn't matter what anybody else say. They can say whatever they want to say, but you know you're waiting.
Yes.
And you're waiting for a reason, because you have this perfect woman out there that's gonna be all yours.
Did your parents talk to you about waiting?
Absolutely not.
Not even your dad, because I know you have a very close relationship
My
with your
dad,
dad.
I had a very, because my father passed away. But yeah, I had a very close relationship with my father, very close. He was the type, he installed great business qualities in me and great self-esteem, to where he just let me know that I can be whatever I want to be. If I put my mind to it, I can.
Yes.
But he never could be, he wasn't comfortable enough with me to have that sex talk. That's why when I did get pregnant at an early age, he was shocked and he couldn't believe that his baby girl was pregnant. And he thought, actually what he said was, he was like, oh my God, I think you just messed up your future. It put a huge damper on my future. Like, I felt like I had to, instead of taking that straight narrow, I had to go down a few dark alleys and a dark roads to even get to where I am today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because I was very persistent and I was determined. I was the lucky one.
Yes.
I made it out of that rut,
right.
But I was dragging that baby with me.
Mm-hmm.
But my 17-year-old now, he felt that pressure. He'd have a conversation with me and say, Mama, I remember we was younger and this and that. He'd bring up something old, and then I had to say, hold on, baby, hold on. That was then. What about now? You don't want to dwell off of that past and those past experiences. You can just start living in your moment now.
Yeah.
I kind of remind him that you're gonna miss out on your great mama now if you keep holding that against me when I was 15, when I had you as that young parent.
Wow.
Come on, what about me now?
But I'm glad that you raised him in such a way, and I'm glad that you gave him the space to even feel comfortable to have a conversation with you.
He don't really see all the great qualities that he have right now. He might appreciate it when he get a little older.
He will. Just like me. Now I understand what my parents were trying to do. The kind of mindset they were trying to instill in me and the values. Now I appreciate it. So even now, if I have to deal with my daughters with tough love, I bear in the back of my mind that one day they would understand, and one day they would thank me.
When they turn 30.
Yeah. So that brings us to point number 4: addressing social media usage when it comes to dating.
Let me hear your take on this.
Well, the kids have been home for about 7-8 months now, and this is the technological generation. This is the generation that understands dating apps. Oh my goodness! Don't even get me started on the apps. I loathe apps. I feel like every aspect of people's life is controlled or monitored or influenced by some kind of app. I'm not here for it. While I do understand the bandwidth that social media affords us to connect, to talk to you, to grow and scale our businesses, etc. Social media has a dark side to it.
It does.
It does.
I think some of the benefits of social media now with your kids is you actually get to see what they're doing, because they tell social media everything. Like they're just exposing themselves. So now, you can get on that social media account and see exactly what they're doing, because they're not like us. Like, we could have been sneaky and we could have, snuck out the house and did what we did and nobody would ever find out. Nowadays, these kids are so immature. They're posting everything they do.
What I like about social media is the fact that you could put the tracking device
on
their phones.
Yes.
And
have family locators on my kid's phone. Get it if you don't have a family locator.
And you could even monitor their activity online, etc., etc. But the side of social media that I'm talking about is, they have become so sexualized. I don't like that aspect of it. I don't like the fact that pedophiles can parade, predators behind a screen, and now a lot of girls are turning up missing. They've been talking to men online for months. We don't even know. They have so many ways around this. And these men groom them.
Yeah,
they come out and meet me that you don't even know.
Yeah.
So that side of social media and dating, that's the side that I want us to talk to our kids about. Okay. Being aware.
Yeah, the trafficking and all
the
of
trafficking.
that.
Oh my goodness. My heart breaks. It's scary.
And see, now that's more so, I'm not trying to say that they can't traffic young boys or the predators are not for boys either. But see, that would be more so scarier for me if I had daughters.
See?
And that is why and girls are more, they want to show off their breasts and their butts.
That's another part of social media that I'm very wary and concerned about. The hypersexuality.
Yes.
You think they're in their room studying and they're taking nudes. That's another thing.
Yes.
Nudes don't disappear. People screenshot nudes and circulate them.
Yeah.
And we also have to teach our kids, even if someone sends you nudes or whatever the case is, it's illegal.
Yes.
To disseminate this information. It is legal.
Yes.
So when we're talking to our kids about social media usage and dating and all that, even though there's a good side to it that's in the sunshine and it's glittery and
exactly.
We also have to be realistic and talk to them about the dangers of social media so that they can be aware. It's as with anything, when you talk about the pros, you have to balance it with the cons. And if you only talk to your kids about the pros of any situation and hide the cons, you are doing your kids a disservice.
Yes. And you know what? I was the opposite. I think I was more so talking about the cons and not the pros with my son. I'm talking about my oldest. My kids are 6 years apart. So now, I get better and better with every child. It's like I get to start over.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of just targeting that one, my 17-year-old, for now, and I felt like I was giving him more of the cons, and now that I'm growing into the woman that I am, I'm giving him a lot of the pros. I'm letting him know, like, hey, baby, it's worth the wait. You can create this woman of your dreams instead of saying, don't have sex, it's STDs, you're gonna get gonorrhea, you're gonna get syphilis. I was like scaring him, like, not to have sex.
Fear tactics.
Yes.
No, I don't even work that way.
Yeah.
It's not the way I want to talk to my girls.
Exactly.
But that's the way that we grew up.
That's
the narrative when you grew up. Don't talk to a man or you're gonna get pregnant.
Exactly.
Okay.
Well, it happens.
Point number 5. So if you're gonna allow your kid or your teen to date, always meet and greet the individual. And you were talking about it earlier about the girl that your son spent time with. Not that he's dating or anything,
but he spent a lot of time with her.
Yeah, we have to know who's influencing our kids' behaviors, because kids are influenced by various things: the parents and outside factors like their friends, the content that they watch, the content that they hear, the music that they listen to, books that they read, etc.
That's why I encourage my kids to. You don't have to be the smartest cookie out of your group. Be the leader. Be the leader. Use your platform. My son, like I said, he does music. He's a rapper. So I let him know you need to use your platform for good. To influence people and be positive. And because if you're just a follower, you're following behind anybody, you're gonna fall for anything. You're gonna be hanging out, doing drugs. You might get pulled up by the police. You might take a charge for someone. Like, this can create a whirlwind of trouble. Because I have boys. I have the police. Like me, I'm more so worried about the police.
I was about to say we need to have a discussion on that.
Exactly, being a black kid.
You have three black boys raising, given the current climate in America right now, with police brutality and social injustice. We need to have a conversation. Not right now though. Right now we're focusing on dating and teens, but with 3 sons, wow, it's with 3 sons. It's not even. it's not even just a matter of having that dating conversation. It's also that conversation of just being a black man in America. What is expected of you? How do they expect you to behave? You know, but most importantly is how you should behave. You know, but
and that ain't that's not a question of if you have to have a conversation. It's a question of when.
Yeah.
So
yeah, but it's important for us to know who our kids' friends are.
Build that trust with your kids where you're not just their friends, but you do have a relationship to where y'all are kind of buddies, but they also respect you.
So you need to find that balance.
You gotta have that happy balance, so they can open up to you and say, "Hey, mom, you know, I need to talk to you." Like, don't keep talking down on your kids. Like, these are actual human beings, individuals. They have their own personality. Treat them like such.
I think that's a perfect note to close that on. So, according to the U.S. Department of Human and Health Services, teenage girls tend to have their first sex experience with male partners at least 3 or more years older, while teenage boys tend to have their first sexual encounter with girls who are 1 or 2 years younger. With that said, it brings me to point number 6. If for some reason you're going to allow your teenager to date, encourage them to date in groups.
Okay. I think that's a great idea. So if they go out to the movies, it can be a group of 6, group of 5.
Yes.
So everybody's kind of keeping an eye out on one another. But that also brings up a good point. In point number 5, you were saying, who are your kids hanging out with? You have to meet their friends. Because if it's a group of 6 of them and they're all hot boys and hot girls, they're going to be having some kind of orgy.
Something's bound to happen.
Exactly. So there's nobody's holding anyone accountable. So yes, I love that. I love, like you said, if I were to allow my sons to start dating, you know, I will rather for him to go on a group date.
Yeah.
Unless he wants me to chaperone. Either or.
I like the chaperone idea. It since, you know, it has dissolved over time. But there was a time whenever a young lady goes out in the public with a male counterpart, you have to be chaperoned. There's some cultures that still encourage chaperones, right? But you know, American culture is different to all other cultures. But I would chaperone my daughter if I allow her to date. She's 16 still, so she's not necessarily thinking about that. I mean, she thinks about boys. She would say, "Oh, Drake is cute," or "Chris Brown is cute."
Famous crushes. Okay,
You know, and I understand these things because when I was young, I had crushes too, but I don't dare. You know, I couldn't tell my mom, "Oh, mommy, I'm crushing on Chris Brown." You can't do that. I give them the space to say, because it's just a crush. Like, these things, like we said in point number 1, they are inevitable. Dating in groups is a surefire way, a gentle way to ease your teenager onto the dating scene, if you so will. But again, don't forget to comment below and tell us what you think. Give us the correct age that you think teenagers should start dating, and if we miss any pointers whatsoever, please don't forget to comment below and share with us. Share. Talk to your child about consent. Consent here equates boundaries.
Absolutely. I love it.
And you know, again, I'm happy that this is a balanced conversation, because you have boys, I have girls, and you know, a lot of times, again, society, the pressure is so much on girls. Don't let him, you know, say no, or what did they say? Say no, or don't let him touch you, or whatever the case. What about girls? There's some aggressive girls who throw themselves at boys.
Absolutely. I was raised with some aggressive, not raised, I don't mean like in that same household, but when I was growing up, I remember having not friends, but knowing of girls that would put their stuff on boys. You know, like literally like fondle them and, "Oh, you a punk, oh, you're not gonna let me touch you, oh, you're not gonna let me do this and do that." that. Yeah, I remember those type of girls. And then they'll they'll just call the boys out for being a punk, or you're scared, or you're not ready for this, you don't want none of this, and all kind of just sexual. Because you got to understand, girls are more mature than boys.
Yes.
So
it's scientifically proven.
It's scientifically proven. So it'll be a lot of boys, like you just said in, what was that, in point number 5, I think you were saying how girls tend, or point number 6, you were saying how girls tend to their first experience be with someone 3 or 4 years older than them because of their maturity level. Yeah. So imagine if they're the same age with a boy and they're pressuring him. He's scared. He's like, oh my goodness, what's going on? She's scaring me right now. So
so I know that when you're talking to your kids about setting boundaries, it can be a real uncomfortable conversation, but they need to hear this from us.
They do.
And that's one of the, that goes back to point number 5, where we want to encourage them to date in groups, because it's easier for them to set boundaries while they're in a group. For example, like you said, sexual advances. If it's just 2 people out on a date, sexual advances is easier. In fact, there's so many statistics on first date rate. And I need to look for that though. But if you're in a group, it's harder for you to try that. Or even set boundaries. They might encourage you to drink, they might encourage you to smoke. All these things that you knew that since in point number 2, in that open communication, when you and your parent were talking about the boundaries and the expectations and the ground rules, all these things that you and your parents sat down and said, here you are on this date, and your date is encouraging you to, shatter everything. So when you're in a group, it's easy for you to stay true to your boundaries. Stay true to your curfew, or stay true to whatever.
And you're gonna have those friends. You're gonna have those friends that are gonna hold you accountable. Hey girl, what are you doing? We gotta be back and home in 30 minutes.
Remember what your parents said.
Exactly. We can't do that. So your friends are gonna hold you accountable.
Another aspect that we should look at on the setting boundaries is talking to your child about healthy relationships. There's so many statistics out there talking about teenagers and abusive relationships. Could you imagine that?
Yes.
I wish a guy would.
Yeah, it happens. It happens.
But there's so many. We have to teach our daughters and sons again about healthy boundaries. About let's talk about a guy or a girl that calls you out of your name, or pressures you to do something that you don't want to do, or tell them what the red flags are, so that they could pick up when their date or their friend is narcissistic, is abusive, and all those traits. And it's painful, it's uncomfortable, but we have to have those conversations, especially if you care about your child. And I do believe in the village raise a child approach. So in a sense, we're kind of looking out for other people's kids as well, not just our own. But we have to talk to them about behavior manipulation. Who are you, punk? Why you don't want to sleep with me? And this goes for both girls and boys. I will admit I was an aggressive girl, but I was still weary because I knew my parents would beat me down if only.
Exactly.
But had I not been raised well, I could have easily been one of those aggressive girls that would fondle a boy. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm aggressive like that. But thank God I was raised well. I know how to control myself. Those boundaries. But we have to teach our kids, both girls and boys, to respect other people's boundaries.
That's true.
Just like how we keep telling boys, if she said no, it's
no means no.
No means no. Girls have to tell your daughters no means no.
Because I remember growing up, my nose was probably sexy. No, but I really meant no. Because I didn't want to be angry with that person because they were already scaring me. So if I'm like, no, I might look cute while I'm saying it, but
you're terrified.
You're terrified. And like I said, I didn't want to come across as this angry person because I was scared. I was too scared to be angry and say, no, leave me the hell alone. Like I was like, I really meant that no. Okay, so guys,
imagine that.
yeah, guys have to understand. Like, even though she's pretty, she's attractive, or she might say that,
Or even if she's dressed a certain way.
even if she's dressed a certain way, because I always like to, be a little sexy, but that doesn't mean I want it to be touched.
And you have a right to dress the way you want to dress. It doesn't mean right. It doesn't mean that you want to be touched.
So, but that's why it all falls back on us as parents. Monitor what your kids have on. You have to monitor what they have on when they're walking out the house.
Yes.
Monitor, who your kids are hanging around. You have to be in your child's life. You have to be present 100%. You can't just go to work and try to just make all this money to keep the roof over, the family's head. No, it's not just about the roof. You have to set boundaries for your kids. You have to set an example, and you have to build trust with your kids. So
being a parent is not an on the fence thing.
No.
You either there or you're not. You can't be on the fence about it.
I'm telling you,
They're your responsibility. And I'm glad you mentioned securing that bag. Some parents want to hold on 2, 3, 4 jobs, and their kids are raised by the television or by the streets.
Absolutely, they're raising themselves.
Yeah.
So what kind of decisions do you expect from them to make?
Yeah.
Come on, could you trust yourself when you was a teenager? Mommy going to get that bag. I'll be back. Y'all lock the door. Make sure y'all don't answer the door for nobody. You can't do that no more. These are different times.
Yeah.
Even back then, it shouldn't have been acceptable. But come on, we gotta do better, guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. So just to round out point 7, speak to your kids about boundaries. Speak to your kids that no means no. Talk to your kids about what an unhealthy relationship look like. Talk to them about people pressuring them to engage in activities that they shouldn't, or if someone if someone is portraying manipulative behavior or aggressive, abusive behavior. Teach your kids, please, hammer it in their head. Tell them what the red flags are, because you don't want to look up one day. I should have looked for those statistics. There are some damaging statistics about teenage girls who are in relationship with teenage boys that are physically abusing
Absolutely.
them. Could you imagine I'm 18, 17 and my boyfriend beats me?
It happens.
Oh my God, I wish somebody would.
But that goes down, goes back to how you raise your child. Like your child, they're going to fill that void somewhere. If you're not showing them attention, if you're not telling them they're beautiful, if you're not encouraging them, if you're not installing these great qualities in them, they're going to be more prone to go out there and just accept anything from someone. Just because they're giving them attention. Oh, he must really love me. Like, even though he beat on me and stuff, he tells me he loves me and he's telling me he's sorry. Like, they're going to fall for that. They're going to fall a victim to the streets. So you have to do your job as a parent. I don't care if you're single, a single mother. I don't care if you're a single father. I don't care if you're married. Like, you have to raise those kids. You cannot keep allowing these kids to raise themselves. You can't keep having 4 or 5 or 6 kids and saying, here, Johnny, take care of your brother. Here, they're all raising themselves. And then you wonder why they are the way they are. It falls on us. The ball's in our court.
It does. The ball is in your court.
Your kids reflect who you are.
Yes, the ball is in our court. So parents, mothers, soon to be, whatever the case is, do you have teens or your kids almost teens? What do you think about our conversation? What is your take on the discussion here today? Please feel free to have that discussion in the box. Please comment. We want to talk to you. We want to hear from you if you haven't already.
Please like and subscribe.
I'm Lady Eloise.
I'm Lady Anwar.
This is Elevated Lifestyle TV,
where we encourage you to live empowered every day.
Yeah.